What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. It is finally time. College football is 5 days away, and we are going to be talking about my preseason top 25 to what I believe are the top 25 teams in college football entering the 2023-2024 season. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but first off, guys, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you for the support on the channel over the summer. The channel, I believe, can continue to grow this season. I'd like to see it continue to grow this season, so please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when I upload videos during the season. Going to be posting a lot of game prediction videos as well. Those are going to start out today. You'll see some later today, but there are more ways than that. You guys can always support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video. You guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else that you guys may be willing and or able to do to help me support my channel. Again, any way you can help the growth of this channel, I really do appreciate it a lot. Let's talk now about my top 25. If you guys don't know how my top 25 videos work, it's going to stay the same from last year. We're going to go through a list of honorable mentions of some teams that, well, are close to breaking into my top 25, but not quite there. And then we will go in to my top 25 we will go into my top 25 entering this season. So let's start out with the honorable mention list. I'll let you guys look at them. We'll run through them here pretty quickly. We do have a couple teams out of the ACC on here. That's Miami and Louisville. I think both teams have some really good potential this year that are close to breaking in to my top 25. Couple Big Ten teams, Iowa, Maryland, same sort of thing. Iowa's going to have a really good defense, but I want to see a little bit from that offense before I can put them in my top 25, although they are definitely a top 30 team in my mind. Maryland there has a lot of good potential this year as well. A lot of teams out of the SEC on here. Texas A&M, want to see a little bit more from them. They might actually be team number 26 if I were to have 26 teams in this poll, but it's not a top 26. It's a top 25. Arkansas is here as well, along with Kentucky, South Carolina. Those three teams all kind of in the same boat. In fact, that they have some questions to answer, but all of them can have a really good season this year. Do have a team out of the Big 12. That is the likes of the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll see what they're made of this season. And the UCLA Bruins up here as well as a couple of Group of 5 teams, both of them hailing from the Sun Belt Conference. Yes, two teams I think have the potential to win 10 games this year. In fact, I've predicted both of them to win 10 games this year. It's the Troy Trojans and the South Alabama Jaguars. Both of those two teams, probably the two front runners in the Sun Belt Conference to win, and I think both of them are top 25 worthy. So you know me, I like to give love to the Group of 5 conference. We'll put those on there, but those teams did not make the list. Who did make my top 25? We're going to find that out right now. If you guys know, we start at the bottom and we work our way up. So starting out with number 25 here, I have the UTSA Roadrunners. I really like UTSA this year. In fact, a lot of you out there that have followed through with the channel this summer know that I do have UTSA, my apologies, winning the American Athletic this season because I think that team is really, really good. Now, they may not be the best team in the American Athletic. We'll get to that team in a minute. They're not on screen right now. I trust. Or I should say, trust me, they are on the poll later. But UTSA, even though Zachary Franklin's gone at wide receiver, there's a plethora of talent returning at that position. Frank Harris is back at quarterback. The defense is loaded with key pieces. I like what the Roadrunners have this year. I absolutely love their head coach and Jeff Traylor, and I think that's a top 25 team entering this season. So I'm giving love to my friends down there in San Antonio. The Roadrunners are a top 25 team in my mind. At number 24, I have North Carolina. You cannot deny the absolute firepower that this offense has. Even though they did lose their top 2 receivers from a season ago, you got one of, if not the best quarterback in the nation in Drake May. Phenomenal talent, but that defense is very, very suspect, right? That defense was not only one of the worst in Power 5, but one of the worst in the country last season, and they lost a ton of talent on that side of the ball. So in order for me to put North Carolina higher, I got to see a little bit more faith in that defense, but Drake May and that offense are going to be incredible to watch in 2023. TCU is down here at 23. This is the team that I think is barely holding on to a top 25 spot. They did lose a lot from last season. Max Duggan, Quentin Johnson, their top 2 leading rushers. A lot of good talent defensively, including D. Winters and Travius Hodges-Tomlinson. However, besides Hodges-Tomlinson, there is a lot coming back in the secondary room. Chandler Morris is back, but you do have a new offensive coordinator because Garrett Riley's off to Clemson. There's a lot of overhaul here with TCU. I'm going to be very interested to watch and see what they are going to be made of this season. But TCU, for me, as of right now, barely holding on to a top 25 spot. They are number 23. I still think they're going to be a very good team. I think Chandler Morris is going to be a pretty solid quarterback, but TCU does have some things to show and a lot of change to overcome. You guys know me, I'm high on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now, I only have them at 22, but Texas Tech is a team that I can see going above and beyond where I have them ranked right now. Tyler Shuck, if when healthy, is a phenomenal quarterback to watch. He's got a lot of good players in the skill position room to work with. The defense does lose some key pieces, but I think that side of the ball is going to be pretty solid as well. It is just the health of Tyler Shuck. When he plays, he is outstanding, and I don't think he's lost a game in a game where he's really truly played the entire game, although correct me if I'm wrong on that stat. But Texas Tech, if that quarterback position can stay healthy, if they can get some consistency there, watch out. The Red Raiders can make a run at a Big 12 title game right now. For me, they're sitting at number 22. Number 21, the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, much like North Carolina, you cannot deny how good this offense is going to be with Dylan Gabriel and company. Even though a lot of talent is gone, there's still a lot of talent there. It's going to be one of the best offenses that maybe the nation sees this year, if not by far one of the best offenses the Big 12 is seeing this year. But again, it's that defense. Now, I do think the defense is in a better place than it was last year, and I do think it's in a better place than what North Carolina has on the defensive end as well, but it's still got a lot to prove. Oklahoma's got a lot to prove on the defensive end, and so for me, they cannot sit higher than 21 until they are able to do that. So there's 25 through 21. Let's now jump in to the top 20, and here is the other team out of the American Athletic Conference. As promised earlier, it's the Tulane Green Wave. This team is going to be phenomenal this season. Even though Tajee Spears is gone, hey, there's a lot of talent coming back in the wide receiver room. And the most key, important position on offense, the quarterback position, yeah, you get Michael Pratt back. He could be a top 10 quarterback in the nation entering this season. I believe he is that good. The Tulane defense that was so good last year returns a lot of key pieces. Tulane's got a lot of tough non-conference games this year, including the team that is above them at number 19 and Ole Miss. We'll talk about them here in a second. They also have a game against South Alabama. In case you guys forgot, hey, they were on my honorable mention list for a reason. That team returns a lot of talent for a team that already won 10 games last season. So Tulane's got a very tough road in a new-look American Athletic Conference, but they are the favorite. They are the best Group of 5 team, in my opinion. Tulane is sitting here at number 20. So now we jump to Ole Miss again. Ole Miss has to play Tulane this year. I believe it is week 2 or 3. I'm not too sure on that, but the Ole Miss Rebels have pretty much, you name it, slot someone in at the quarterback position. I think they're going to play really well for Ole Miss. You got Walker Howard, Spencer Sanders, or your returning starter from last year in Jackson Dart. Quinshon Judkins is one of, sorry, I just hit my desk. Quinshon Judkins is one of the best running backs the country has to offer. He could be a first-team All-American this season. Ole Miss defense has been improving steadily year after year. I think the Rebels are set up for a really, really good season yet again under Lane Kiffin. I got them at 19. Number 18, a team that I'm maybe higher on than most, but the Wisconsin Badgers are up here for me at number 18. I absolutely love what the Badgers have this year. They're still going to have the ground and pound attack. Braylon Allen is still a member of that team. You got a lot of good talent behind him in the running back room, but the wide receiver room has always been an undervalued part to this Wisconsin offense. It especially will be this year as well. Tanner Mordecai is coming in at quarterback. He is a 3,500 yard, 35 touchdown player. He's going to bring a new dynamic that a Wisconsin offense has not seen in quite some time. Oh, and Luke Fickell is there. And if we know Wisconsin, yeah, that defense is already going to be pretty good to have a defensive-minded coach, a long-time defensive coordinator. The defense is still going to be stout. I am loving where the Badgers are at this year. I think they're the best team in the Big Ten West. That's why I got them here at number 18. Number 17 for me are the Oregon State Beavers. Hey, DJU, he is transferring in to that program to give a new boost to a team that desperately needed an upgrade at the quarterback position. And I know Uiagalelei has not lived up to expectations in the past, but if he can live up to it here at Oregon State, he's got a pretty darn good group of wide receivers. Damian Martinez is an absolute stud in the running back room. Could be a second, third team All-American if he lives up to potential. And the Beaver defense does lose some key pieces, but otherwise is looking pretty good. Don't be surprised if the Beavers make a run at a Pac-12 title here in 2023. I believe that team is that good. Number 16 up here, I do have is the Kansas State Wildcats. Now, there is a lot of talent gone out of that secondary, and Deuce Vaughn is no small piece. Malik Knowles is no small piece. You're going to be losing a lot of key talent there. However, Kansas State does get Will Howard coming back at the quarterback position. He should already breathe a ton of life into the Kansas State offense this season. The defense does return a lot in the front seven. The secondary, you're definitely going to need to find some talent to step up and play some bigger minutes there. But all in all, I do like what the Kansas State Wildcats have. This could be another team that makes a run at a Big 12 title. They were Big 12 champs last season. They absolutely could win it again here in 2023. So watch out for the Kansas State Wildcats there at number 16. All right, moving now into the top 15. From here, it can get a little murky. So if you have teams kind of switching around and maybe I'm just like one or two spots off of where you have your poll, again, these teams that we're getting into in the top 15 are very, very close for me. Honestly, you could arrange it in any order, and I'd probably say, yeah, okay, that looks good. But this is the way that I have structured my top 15. We are starting out with the Utah Utes here at number 15. And the reason why I have Utah as the bottom team in the top 15 here, I think this is going to be a very good team. They're going to play very physical, even with all the pieces that they lost on the defensive end. They are still going to be they're still going to play a very physical brand of football. They're going to punch you in the mouth. Utah is going to be a good team in 2023, but the health of Cam Rising is definitely a question mark. He is coming off of an injury. Who knows if he is going to be 100% healthy and ready to go for this game against Florida week 1 on a Thursday night. Now, Utah does get the game at home, but Cam Rising is a huge part to what the Utah Utes do. Other than that, though, if he is healthy, ready to go, this is a bona fide top 15 team. They are a contender in the Pac-12 conference. Love what the Utah Utes have this year if Cam Rising is healthy. That is a team that I have there at number 15. Notre Dame for me is right here at number 14. Now, Notre Dame is definitely an interesting team walking into this year because I think this Irish team is going to be very, very good. Now, there are a lot of questions to overcome. The defense definitely, I think, is still going to be good this year, but has some things to prove after last season. But the linebacker room could be one of the best in the entire country. You went and got a big-time dynamic playmaker at the quarterback position in Sam Hartman. He does have a lot of weapons to work with in the running back room and in the wide receiver room, albeit the wide receiver room is going to be pretty young for the Fighting Irish this season. So when I look at this Notre Dame team, I see a lot of potential, a lot of room to really grow as a team, grow as a program under Marcus Freeman. Or I should say grow as a team under Marcus Freeman. This program is one of the best in college football history. But for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a little bit of question marks to answer. We are going to get an early look at the Irish as they are one of the few teams to play in week 0. But I do have them slated here at number 14. Number 13 is the Tennessee Volunteers. Do really like what the Volunteers have this year, even though you did lose your top 2 wide receivers from last season, Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, and Hendon Hooker is gone. Well, you got probably the biggest arm in college football. He's got an absolute cannon for an arm. It's Joe Milton, the former Michigan Wolverine. He is going to be a very good option for the Tennessee Volunteers offensively. You got a lot of good talent surrounding him. Now, that defense does have some strides to make, including in that pass defense. It gave up a lot of big pass plays last season. So there are strides and leaps that Tennessee is still going to have to make. But with Joe Milton, one of the biggest arms in college football, you got a great selection of talent surrounding him. Tennessee is also still going to be one of the better teams the nation has to offer this year, as will the Texas Longhorns. Absolutely love Texas this season. Quinn Ewers at quarterback, and if he's not the answer, well, hey, you got guys like Malik Murphy and Arch Manning behind him. An embarrassment of riches in the wide receiver room. Xavier Worthy's back. I believe Whittington is back as well. A.D. Mitchell is transferring in to that program. You still have Isaiah Nair there. If he is healthy, that's a huge part. The Texas defense is taking some strides. And even though Roshan Johnson, Bijan Robinson are gone out of the running back room, still a lot of good talent back there. Texas has an embarrassment of riches, especially on the offensive end, and could very well be the best team in the Big 12 this season. That's where I slot them. They're up here at number 12. Number 11, I got the Oregon Ducks sitting up here with the number 11 ranking. Oregon added a ton of talent, especially on the defensive end. I think Bo Nix continues to be a very, very underrated quarterback throughout all the quarterbacks in the nation. He proved it last year. He has what it takes to win the big games. He has what it takes to shine in the big moments. Bo Nix, very, very good quarterback. He's got a lot of very good weapons offensively. Now, again, we'll see how many transfers on the defensive front end up working out for Oregon. But I got to tell you guys, this Duck team is not going to go down without a fight this year. They're going to be very, very good. And Oregon I have up here with the number 11 ranking in my poll. All right, now we move into the top 10. At number 10, I'm sitting the Clemson Tigers. I really believe that Clemson's offense is going to get better this year. Hey, I mentioned Garrett Riley earlier in this video, the former offensive coordinator at TCU. Yeah, he is at Clemson now. The torch has been passed with DJ Uiagalelei transferring out again to Oregon State, another team in the top 25. Cade Klubnik is taking over there. A lot of undervalued talent in that wide receiver room. We know the running back room is going to be pretty solid for this unit. And when I take a look at Clemson, it's still one of the best defensive teams in the country. It's just whether or not that offense can turn it around. Now, the defense alone, I think, could put Clemson as a top 15 unit in the country. However, when I take a look at that offense, there are some questions. I have a little bit of faith with the addition of Garrett Riley. It does make Clemson a top 10 team, but I think the ceiling for Clemson can be a lot higher, but we've got to get some answers as to what they are made of on the offensive end, and we will see that there in a Week 1 Labor Day game there against the Duke Blue Devils in Durham, North Carolina. Number 9, I do have the Washington Huskies. They did drop a couple spots for me, but still love what the Huskies have this season. Now, there is some question of can that consistency continue, right? Is Washington going to be able to be consistent from last year's performance to this year's? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Is Washington going to be consistent from last year's performance to this year's, right? That is the big question for the Washington Huskies this season. Well, I think you got one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. I think Michael Penix is one of the best quarterbacks the country has to offer when, again, he stays healthy. I just knocked on wood for all my Washington Husky fans out there. If the defensive front seven can stay healthy, again, knock on wood again, and the passing defense can improve, Washington's a bona fide top 10 team and even a college football playoff contender there as well. So I got the Huskies sitting there at number 9. Penn State did drop 3 spots for me as the team I had in my top 5 for a long time. And even though they are dropping here, there are just some teams that I started to like a little bit more than what I saw with the Penn State and Nittany Lions. I cannot deny the talent that is here. This is a legit defensive unit. Could be the best defense that James Franklin has had in his coaching tenure in Happy Valley. And when I take a look at the offense, they got one of the best stables of running backs the country has to offer, a very underrated group of wide receivers, and a quarterback that very well could be a generational type talent there in Drew Aller. The hype is real for Penn State entering 2023. We'll see if they live up to it here this season. There are a lot of tough games on the schedule. Penn State definitely does have some room to grow, but this is a team with a ton of talent, and they're going to be able to take a step up, maybe even break out here this season or in 2024. There's a lot to like about Penn State entering this season. They're a bona fide top 10 team. I got them sitting at number 8. You guys know where I stand on the Florida State Seminoles, a team that I think is going to end up making the college football playoff because I do think Florida State is that talented. I love what the Seminoles have this year. Jordan Travis, I think, is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. They have a really good running back stable. It might end up being underrated by some. When you take a look at the wide receiver room, they don't have a guy under 6 foot. So good luck to opposing secondaries that are going to try to defend this Florida State group of wide receivers. And then when we go ahead and take a look at that defense, Jared Verse is back. You got a couple transfers coming in. Fentrell Cypress is the biggest one, former defensive back out of Virginia. And from the sounds of it all, the transfers are working out. Even Keon Coleman on the offensive end, the former Michigan State wide receiver, again, gives a lot of size, a lot of strength to this wide receiver room at Florida State. I love what Mike Norvell and the Seminoles have this year. They have a huge showdown with LSU in Week 1. Now, we haven't seen the LSU Tigers yet, but you can probably guess on where they are. I absolutely love Florida State this year. I got them sitting at number 7. Number 6 for me, the USC Trojans. Now, much similar story to Oklahoma and North Carolina. but this is probably the best offense in the country with Caleb Williams, an absolutely loaded group of wide receivers, a loaded group of running back room. We know what the offense is going to be for the USC Trojans. The question for this team lies on the defensive end. It is put up or shut up time for Lincoln Riley. It is put up or shut up time for Alex Grinch. It is put up or shut up time for this USC defense that added a lot of talent, added a lot of depth to this team this past transfer portal cycle. So we'll see how much of it works out. We'll see if they end up falling on their face on the defensive end yet again, because ultimately that's what kept them out of the college football playoff and from a Pac-12 title last season. We'll see if the same story persists for Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans, or if they can flip the script, they can get that defense work better, because it is a very, very, very tough schedule. They're going to need their defense to clutch up, pull out some very key plays, maybe even help them pull out a win or two on that schedule. But USC, definitely a bona fide college football playoff contender. All eyes, though, on that Trojan defense, so that is definitely a story to keep an eye on. But your top 5 teams for me, let's go to Death Valley here for the LSU Tigers. They're my number 5 team in the nation. Got to tell you, love what the LSU Tigers have this year. Jaden Daniels, very good piece at the quarterback position. He proved that last year. Really good with his arm, really good with his legs. They got an amazing group of skill position players, including Malik Neighbors at the wide receiver position, and other players there as well. They possibly have the best defensive player the nation has to offer this year in Harold Perkins. Added some really good talent on that side of the ball there as well. Offensive line, defensive line seem to be their strengths as well. There's a lot of great talent there. The LSU Tigers are a playoff contender, a team that I think absolutely can push for a spot in the college football playoff, can absolutely get back to Atlanta for an SEC championship game. Got them sitting here at number 5. Alabama, for me, is sitting here at number 4, and while we do still have an ongoing quarterback battle, it does look like Jalen Milroe is actually going to end up taking that starting spot for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So let's go ahead and talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide for a second. One, the Alabama dynasty is not over. Yes, Georgia maybe has taken that step to be the next greatest dynasty in college football. However, Alabama's, I believe, is still going. And let me give you a little stat and a little nugget of information here. You guys want to know what has happened every single season after a Nick Saban team lost 2 games? Especially when he was at Alabama. That's right, they went and won the national championship. Alabama's got a lot of good talent. Secondary is really loaded, led by Kool-Aid McKinstry. They got a lot of good talent there. Wide receiver, maybe not where they want it to be, but I think it's got a lot of good talent. Running back room is loaded with Roydell Williams. Still great amount of talent there. It's still a Nick Saban coach team. Alabama's not going anywhere. This is a bona fide top 5 team, bona fide college football playoff and national championship contender. Alabama, for me, sits at number 4. However, to me, there really is no argument as to who the top 3 teams in the nation are, and I do believe that they go in this order. For me, number 3 is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, quarterback is going to be maybe not an issue there, but is still a question mark. We still don't know who is going to be starting for this Ohio State team. And according to Ryan Day, no one really has separated themselves yet in that quarterback battle in that room. You still got guys in that quarterback room like Kyle McCord, guys like Devin Brown. But honestly, from the sounds of it, either of those guys are going to be fine options at quarterback. And in my opinion, really doesn't matter who ends up playing that position, because you got a loaded stable of running backs that are finally healthy. Marvin Harrison and company Marvin Harrison leads the best wide receiver in the country has to offer. Marvin Harrison, a bona fide Heisman contender here in 2023. Yes, Heisman contender is Marvin Harrison Jr. and a defense that absolutely is projecting well under Jim Knowles in year 2. So for the Ohio State Buckeyes, really, it depends on the quarterback play. But again, you don't have to go 100 miles an hour here with the Ohio State quarterback room. You maybe have to go 60, 65, maybe 70, and just keep the car on the road. You don't have to go 100. Now, if you can go 100 and not crash the car, that is fantastic. But for the Ohio State quarterback room, it's about consistency. It's about taking advantage of what you have on the offensive end. For me, the Buckeyes are number 3 in college football. The Michigan Wolverines up here at number 2, and they got a ton of talent coming back to this team. J.J. McCarthy is coming back. He's one of the better quarterbacks the nation has to offer. Might be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And while I definitely don't think he necessarily is elite or anything like that, he does more than enough of what is asked of him, and still a phenomenal talent in the quarterback room. You probably have the best stable of running backs the nation has to offer with Blake Corum. Again, another Heisman contender as a non-quarterback player. Donovan Edwards back there as well. Very underrated stable of wide receivers, and a defense that, okay, albeit has lost a lot of talent over these past 2 years, but you do have some very high impact transfers such as Ernest Hausman and Josiah Stewart transferring in. There is a lot of good talent still there. And again, if you guys have been on the channel before, and this is not the first video of mine you're watching, you'll know that I've picked Michigan to win the 2023 national championship. This is a loaded team, a loaded roster, a team that I think is going to be one of the best in the nation all year round. The Michigan Wolverines for me sitting here at number 2. But, I mean, come on. Let's be honest with ourselves. There is no other team as of right now that you can put at number 1 besides the Georgia Bulldogs. In fact, I don't even think it's remotely close. Yes, Michigan, Ohio State, Bama, LSU, maybe even guys like USC, Florida State. You definitely could make a case on why they could end up as the number 1 team, end up as your eventual national champions. But, I mean, come on. This is Georgia we're talking about. Even with all the talent gone, they are still loaded, absolutely loaded on the defensive end. The wide receiver room got a little bit of an overhaul this year, but that still looks really good. They're going to have a good stable of running backs, offensive, defensive lines. They're going to win the battle in the trenches with anyone that they happen to play. Carson Beck has been named that starter at the quarterback position, and I think he is going to be a huge dynamic piece for this Georgia team this year. And what more do I have to say? They are your back-to-back reigning national champions. They're going to look for a three-peat here in 2023, and you know what? They're the favorite to win the national championship in 2023, and why not? This is an absolutely loaded roster, might be the best roster college football has to see. I didn't even mention Brock Bowers, who is bona fide the best tight end in the nation, and also a Heisman contender as a position player. Georgia is absolutely loaded. They're my number 1 team in the nation. I'll give you one more look at my top 5. But hey, guys, this is going to be an absolutely amazing college football season, and that was my top 25. Let me know your personal top 25 in the comment section below, maybe anything you changed about my list. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Game predictions are starting today. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.